This is Trigger Point, episode 17. My name's Serena, and sitting across from me is my co-host Peter. Hello, Peter.
Hi, everyone.
So, I'm beginning to feel like we have a theme going on, like a pattern.
Of like what, not being able to
do what we say we're going to
do.
Yeah. So, let us say in ahead of time, like if you haven't read the show topic, we're not doing a Korean Odyssey. I feel like we're at the end of the show, whenever we decide what we're going to do, just take it as a suggestion.
Yeah, it's more like a
It's our aim or our goal.
Yeah, to do it.
But
it may or may not happen.
Yeah.
To be fair, this was literally out of our control.
Yeah. It wasn't really not our fault.
Yeah.
Like
the reason why we're not doing Korean is because I haven't watched it. And I haven't watched, not because I was too busy or I just haven't had time to watch it. No, it was because I was overseas the last month. So I was in Hong Kong and Japan. And I thought, the Korean Odyssey is supposedly a Netflix original. Surely they will have it.
Yeah,
over
it should be
there.
licensed everywhere,
right? Nope. It is not available in Hong Kong or Japan. So
probably because some local channel is going to show it over there.
Yeah, actually, probably.
Yeah.
So I couldn't actually get access to it. That's why I didn't watch it. So not my fault.
Yes. So Peter messages me and say, "Oh, by the way, can't have access to the show that we were saying we're going to do."
Yeah. So
sorry.
What are you
and
do?
then I'm like, "Oh, freak." So we have chosen to do another Netflix original. This is a Netflix original, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to do Altered Carbon. Originally, while I was watching this show, I was thinking, it'd be kind of cool if we read the books, or I read the books, because Peter won't have time to read the books. If I read the books and then we watch the TV show and then there's like a little bit of comparison, but we didn't have time to do that. Like I didn't have time to read that. So we're going to do that TV show, but just before we do that, let's do a couple of follow-up things. The last episode, what were we doing in the last episode? The Expanse. No, what was the subject? Oh God, I've got a memory of a goldfish. What was the topic we were doing in the previous episode?
The Greatest Showman.
Thank you. Yeah. So I'm getting old or something. My mind just doesn't retain memory. Anyway,
did it ever retain memory well?
That episode was actually supposed to be much, much longer because we talked about Star Wars: The Last Jedi for about an hour. And that pushed the episode way too long, so I just take the whole thing out. So if ever we again miss an episode for a month, I will take that out of storage and I will
put that
one up instead. Although I shouldn't tell Peter, because now Peter thinks that there's something in the as a backup, and who knows? Our next month we won't have an episode because Peter thinks, I could take a month off. So I just thought I'd let people know. A second thing I want to mention is chapter markers. I should have mentioned this 2 episodes ago. And I forgot. I finally got my hands on a program that allows me to add little chapter markers, so it makes it easy for people to skip ahead. I don't know why I want people to do that. I mean, I want people to listen to our
everything we say, every golden word that we sprout from our mouths.
Well. That's one way of looking at it. But yeah, so I've put chapter markers in there, and in addition to chapter markers, what happened is that you might, depending on the app that you use, when you're listening to our episodes, you will see different show art. So when we start talking about whatever we're talking about, Altered Carbon, you will see that the show art would change from our
normal logo.
Yeah, our normal logo to the
Altered Carbon logo.
Yeah, exactly. So stuff like that. Just thought I'd
put it up there.
Yeah,
let people know.
Play with new stuff. I just wanted to play with the new app that was out that I could play with. Anyway, so we don't have much time. Peter's sick because we should actually talk about your trip. But
yeah. So as I've already mentioned, I was overseas. I was in Hong Kong,
and he's sick now.
Yeah.
Sneezing all over the place.
Hey, at least I wasn't sick when I was actually on my holiday.
You weren't sick while you were on a holiday. Why would I care whether you were sick on your holiday? I care now that you're sick when you're sitting across from me.
You're far enough away. It's fine. That shouldn't be contagious anymore. Maybe? I don't know. Anyway, so as I was saying, I was overseas in Japan for 2 weeks, spending a week just sightseeing in Tokyo and Osaka, and went for a week in Hakuba. Went snowboarding for a whole week. It's awesome. And then I spent 2 weeks in Hong Kong for Chinese New Year's. Also awesome. And I'm really glad because the last 2 times I was in Hong Kong for Chinese New Year's, I was sick both times. And quite sick. Not just like a cold sick. I was really ill both years. So I was really annoyed. So I was really glad that this didn't happen while I was there.
Did you get a lot of red pockets?
I got a few. More than what I would get here.
Fair enough.
Put it that way.
And then you spent it all.
No, because I left before I can spend it all. Remember, this year's Chinese New Year's was really late.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, happy birthday, everyone. Today is what we call
What?
Yan Yat in Chinese.
Oh, right.
Which is, apparently, it's everyone's birthday today. So,
Yeah,
happy
yeah,
birthday,
yeah.
everyone.
Yeah,
Although
yeah.
I kind of think that's kind of sucky if you were born today, because then you're like, yay, my birthday. So is everyone else. Damn it. So, yeah, that was my month of holiday, which was glorious. Loved every minute of it. And I can't believe I'm back now, because it means I have to go back to work. And that depresses me.
Wow, poor you.
The Winter Olympics is happening at the moment.
Yeah, I haven't watched it. Although I recently saw, was it on Twitter or something? They were talking about whether two Canadian ice skaters, whether they were a couple or not. And I'm like, wait, who cares? Like, why are we getting to the point where we care whether a figure skating partnership, like whether a couple there are dating in real life, right? And then I watched, because they were the gold winners, right?
Yeah.
And then I watched their dance. I'm like, oh, they're very pretty. Like, I could see how, like, at a point when they're the kind of athletes that people can fan over,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's not just about the athletes. It's
Yeah.
about, they're really cute looking together.
Yeah.
The way that they dance, because they dance like a couple. The way they look into each other's eyes, because some of the dances that they
Yeah,
dance
yeah.
is supposed to be like that, right?
Yeah.
So it's a passionate dance, and so people start creating a story, because
Yeah,
humans
yeah.
love story,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
And so it gets to a point where, they actually have to have a press conference where they came out and they had to answer that question.
Oh,
And-
really?
Yeah. That was the Twitter
Oh, wow,
thing.
okay.
They answered the question.
Yeah. Were
And
they?
there was... okay, this is a very roundabout answer that they
Okay,
gave.
yeah.
They're like, we're both very dedicated athletes. And we focus so much of our energy on our sport that we just don't have time to think about anything else. But then he added an interesting thing. Like, when this is over, maybe we'd be able to open up that part of our lives and explore that option. And I'm like, so no, I can't help but think, like, did some PR company tell them to do that? Because obviously there's a lot of fans out
Yeah, I
there
know, right?
shipping
Yeah.
them, like, majorly. If you said, no, we're not a couple,
That just
that
ruins
just kills a lot of things, right? So you leave that option open. Like, you
so
say,
people can fantasize about it.
yeah, right? So they can still ship them, so they can still fantasize and completely support them,
Yeah.
without them having to say, yeah, we're a couple or not, right? So
Yeah.
I was like, that's a very nicely worded answer. It was because of that tweet that I went and looked at that first video.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, oh wow, they really do dance very, very nicely. And like, apparently that was their long form dance, and their short form dance apparently broke world record.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Cool.
yeah, so I want to watch more of the other dances just
Yeah.
to see what to compare it to, but
Yeah.
I haven't had time yet. I only just looked at it today, so
Yeah, I
that
know.
was Winter Olympics.
I don't know. Winter Olympics always has one of the most fascinating sports for me. Curling.
Actually, no. Okay, let me rephrase the previous thing. No, I did see a video about the Winter Olympics prior to this, and that was about curling, but they replaced the thing that they...
Yeah.
What is the thing? A puck? What are the thing? They replaced it with a cat. Andrew sent me a link to that. Oh, this is the cutest thing I want you to see. And he showed it. I watched it. I'm like, well, it's just an overlay, right? They put a cat over the top of it. What I found funny was that, you know how sometimes you watch a YouTube video and they say recommended next view or whatever, right? The next one I watched, it was an ad for Bic, but for the Bic razor. And you have this guy, and he's wearing like those swimmer's cap kind of things. And he's walking into a changing room. Then he takes off his towel and stuff, and he starts shaving his head, and he shaves his body and everything. But he's wearing like tight lycra pants kind of thing. And then he walks out into the ice. And then you realize there's something stuck on his back, and it's the handle for the puck thing. Then he lies down on the ice, and this other guy comes up and he pushes him on, and he slides down the thing, and this guy's running in front of him, scrubbing the ice, and he slides all the way down, and you know how there's like existing you have existing naked guys on the ice, and he slides forward, and his head hits another guy, the head of another guy, and he's sliding like face down kind of thing. I just couldn't help like the friction, how much pain there would be in certain body parts, but regardless, right? So he managed to slide all the way down, and then it says Bic shaver, and I'm like, wow, that's a really effective ad.
Curling just fascinates me.
Really?
Oh no, it's funny.
Okay.
Therefore, it's fascinating. I don't get why people like it, but
to each their own.
Yeah. I did see one this morning though, where they had they basically had someone who was also there was two ladies at home, like just at a normal house. They got one of those like Zumba things.
You mean Rumba
thing,
things.
yeah. And she pushed that out, and someone had a scrub right in front of it, pretending that they were curling. He said that thing was just moving it by itself.
Oh, yes, I know, I saw that one too.
I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. I don't know. Curling just...
I don't get it. Like, so what, when they scrub in front of the ice, it'll make them move in that direction?
It either causes more friction or less friction, so that it goes all like... Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, okay, so let's go into our episode. Actual part.
Altered carbon. Right. In case you were living under a rock, or in case you do not have Netflix, or in case you watch only documentaries in Netflix, so Netflix will never recommend this to you, there was a new show, because I think this has been out for a little while now.
It's not that long.
Actually. From my point of view, it's been a while, because I watch a lot of shows very quickly, so I've already watched like 3-4 other shows since then.
Meanwhile, I only finished watching this yesterday.
Yeah.
I binged this while I was on a plane, which was a great way to spend 7 of my 9 hours on the plane.
So you downloaded it onto your iPad?
Yeah, I didn't realize that you can. So
it's actually.
So I was like, I can actually download these shows. I don't actually, have to have streaming while I was watching. This is a brilliant idea.
But I always forget to download until I'm at the airport, and then trying to download episodes using airport Wi-Fi is like near impossible.
Yeah. See, I do planning, Serena.
My planning is to make sure I remember to take my passport. Take it to the airport. Although,
have you ever forgotten it?
Once.
Oh, really?
Once, yeah. I was supposed to fly to Japan. The flight was at I think it was 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. or something. Got to the airport with plenty of time.
Yeah.
I was not late.
Yeah.
Okay, thank God. Got to the thing, and normally, I think this was also one of the things. Normally when I get a taxi, I normally call a taxi for airports. So when I get in, normally the taxi driver always asks me, "Did you remember your passport?" That's just something that they do, right? Yeah.
This one didn't.
This one did not. And so I got to the airport, and I don't know why I normally have it in the back. Anyway, we get to the counter, and I start looking for my bag. I'm like, oh no, this is like one of those nightmares that you think you're going to have.
When I'm going to wake up.
Wake up. Oh my God, I do not have my passport. And I had to tell them, sorry, I do not have my passport. I was with my friends, right? There was 4 other people that they can't get on the plane without me. So everyone's looking at me with this horrified look on their faces. And I said, and I really should not have done this to them. But only did it because I had so much time. I gave them my suitcases.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, if I took my suitcases with me and I was late, they could have just gone without me.
Yeah.
But there was more than enough time, so I gave them my suitcase. I grabbed my wallet and my phone. Only two things I grabbed.
Yeah.
Ran out of the airport, out the front door. Now you know Hong Kong airport. You can't actually you can't get on a taxi at the departure gates, like the entrance to the departure area.
Yeah.
I ran out. This guy just hopped off his taxi. I flew into that taxi. I just jumped in. There was no time. I had no time to get to where the arrivals come and get. There's normally a line. No, there's no way. I just ran out there. Jumped into the first taxi I got into that was there. Yeah. And I said to the guy, I forgot my passport. Can you get me back to my house in time?
Yeah.
And normally it takes about 30 minutes, a little over 30 minutes to get home. He got me there and back in 30 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I told him and he was very understanding. I didn't say anything about like, I'll pay you more. I didn't say any of that stuff. I'm like, I'm sorry, I forgot my passport. And he's like, okay, I'll do. Because also it was really early. As I said, the flight was on a weekend. It was early enough that not a lot of people, a lot of working traffic or whatever.
Yeah.
Flew home. He said, you don't even have to pay me when you get off the taxi when you're at home because you have to come back down.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't holding luggage as well, right?
Yeah.
So he knows I need to get back to the airport. I ran upstairs, grabbed my passport, ran back downstairs, hopped into the taxi, and he flew back. And I was already getting the money out and stuff like that, so I could pay him. I'm like, no change. And I just ran back into the airport. Plenty of time. Like, I wasn't even late we weren't even rushing to get to the plane because he got me back so quickly. But that was like the one and only time, like, even obviously as a kid, you know, because your parents remember your passport for you. But as an adult, that was the one and only time I did not bring my passport. Yeah. Because to be honest, when you go on a trip, there's only two things you really need: your passport and your wallet, and your phone. You could buy clothes when you get wherever you need to. And I can't believe I forgot my passport. That was just...
Yeah. Well, it's still better than me. I actually missed my flight. Completely missed my flight.
You forgot the right date?
No. I looked at the wrong time.
Oh.
Yeah, no, the one time where I felt like completely like an idiot was the flight was at 21:45.
21:45, 9:45 p.m.
Yeah, I thought it was 11:45
p.m.
For some reason, I looked at 21:45 and I thought to myself, oh, 11:45 p.m. I don't know how that happened.
Oh, wow.
I looked at myself.
So technically you went to the airport while your flight was flying?
Yes.
You got to the airport when your plane left?
Yeah, literally. I was like,
my God.
Oh my God. Like when they said, it's 21, I'm like, yeah, it's... Oh.
You know, sometimes I understand that they put like 24 hours on your ticket for like supposedly clarification reasons. It's not really.
No, I don't know. I maybe I do like the 24-hour clock. I don't know what happened that day. For some reason, I just thought 21 was 11. It was just one of those, like...
Your brain did a brain fart.
Yeah.
And you just believed it. From that point onward, it's already translated to 11 something.
And I just kept on thinking. And the worst thing is, like, normally, if I was taking a flight by myself to somewhere, and I was getting my parents to take me to the airport, I'd always send them a copy of my itinerary, and they always have a look at it as well. That was the only time I didn't do that.
Did you go by yourself? Did you take an Uber? What?
No. No, my parents drove me, but it was the only time I didn't send them a copy of my itinerary. It was just one of those things like if it was under any normal circumstances, these would not have happened. But it did. So I feel like an idiot.
And then what? You had to buy a new ticket?
No, luckily it was really good of the airline, I must say. So I was on Cathay at the time. They managed to get me another flight.
Oh.
So I was going from Hong Kong to Melbourne. So instead of a direct flight from Hong Kong to Melbourne, they got me a flight from Hong Kong to Brisbane and then from Brisbane to Melbourne.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For free?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I know, right? I was like, oh, okay.
Luckily they had spots.
Yeah. So they was like, okay, like, look, this is what we're going to have to do. Like, you're going to have to stay there for a bit and you're going to be a bit later. I was like, that's fine. It's like...
At that point, it's like, what are you to complain? Like, you can't complain. You were there for late for 2 hours.
I know, right? It's like, I'm just happy you don't ask me to pay for another flight ticket. Oh, God.
Oh, wow.
Okay, off topic.
Oh, yeah, we're off topic. How did we get...
Passport. I don't know how we got onto the passport thing.
We were talking about altered carbon. I don't know. When I listen back to the recording, it will all make sense to me.
Okay, anyway, back to the show.
Okay, so altered carbon. I'm still trying to work out what it was that got us.
Okay, we were saying that if you were living like
Under
you would,
a rock?
yeah, you would have seen altered carbon being advertised somewhere.
Yeah.
Somehow.
I'm
Okay.
still trying to figure. Anyway, okay, so Altered Carbon is a sci-fi TV show that is based on the premise of if humans were able to store their entire
Life.
personality, their sense of self, memories, everything that makes you, into like a disc-like thing that they insert in the back of your neck.
It's called a stack.
It's called a stack. What would happen to society? Okay. That's kind of like the premise.
Yeah.
The actual story is that there is a guy who comes out of storage because he was put in jail.
Yeah.
And
He's been iced.
Yeah, he's been
So
put on ice. And he gets, was it revved up? No, that wasn't the word. Spun up.
Spun up,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. He gets spun up, put into a body, and
a different body.
into a different body. Yeah. His original 250 years has passed since the day he kind of died and put onto ice. He gets spun up, and essentially he's hired by a really rich guy to find out or to solve a murder, the murder of the rich guy, because the rich guy apparently got killed, and he wants to find out who killed him.
Yeah, but of course with these rich guy, they have backups of themselves, so therefore he's not dead.
Yeah, because the idea is that no one ever has to die because your stack could always be put into a new body.
Yeah.
The only time where you ever experience real death
is if the stack is destroyed.
Or someone shoots you in the head. Yeah. And the idea that's what happened. Either his head was blown up or his stack was destroyed or whatever. But the rich guy, being a rich guy, he has a backup, and the backup gets put into a new body. But the twist is he only gets backed up every 48 hours. And this murder took place 10 minutes before his next backup. So he lost 48 hours.
Yeah.
And so he hires our protagonist, and the protagonist is supposed to find out who killed him. And the reason why the protagonist was chosen out of all people is because he is an envoy. They don't really explain what an envoy is at the start of the show, and that this is an ongoing theme with this show, is that they give you a lot of names or like they pose a lot of questions that they don't answer until much later in the show.
Much later.
Most of the time, by that point, you don't really care anymore.
Yeah. See, normally when a show poses a question like that, they'll answer within the next 10 minutes or something, so that you understand what's happening.
Yeah.
Or you know the importance.
Yeah. So there's still relevance.
Yeah. The only problem with this show is so many of these things are told to you at a point where you no longer really care about it because it's so past.
Well, the reason why you don't care is because this show has a tendency of jumping. There's like, it's like if this show feels like a lot of short stories pieced together, and so they tell you a bit of information when after the next story has already started.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like, oh, okay, I remember this information was pertinent 2 episodes ago. Oh, that makes sense. Probably if you watch it on a second viewing, there'll be like stuff like, oh, that's why they mentioned this later on. Like, but at the time of watching, the first time you're watching it, you're kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
Do I really care?
Yeah. I think this is a show that you kind of really should binge watch.
Yep.
It'll be much easier. Like, because I binge watched as well. I was on a plane, obviously. Whereas Serena watched it throughout.
Over like a week or so.
Yeah. So,
look, the only reason why it took me so long was because I said to Andrew we'll watch it together. Yep. And so then I couldn't wait any longer, and I went and watched it by myself. So unfortunately, that gap in which I waited
didn't help.
No, that gap actually happened between 2 storylines.
Okay, right.
Yeah, so when I came back to watch it, it was like, wait, what just happened? This is not reminding me of what I previously watched 2
Yeah.
days ago because they were kind of like
Yeah, there was
jump.
there was a very jarring jump that would have been very disorienting if you weren't binge watching it in a row.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, if anything, binge watch this.
Yes,
It's only 10 episodes, so you can do it.
Yeah. Okay, so I summarized
Yeah.
both what the premise was and
Yeah.
what the overarching story was. Another way of summarizing this TV show is that it's a very artsy porn.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nudity, and I don't mind nudity, but there's a lot of sex scenes as well.
Yeah. That to be fair, I will give the show credit in that they don't discriminate in the nudity.
Oh, yeah,
it's like doesn't matter if you're a guy or girl, they show everything.
Yeah.
All of it, most of them.
Actually, they show more the male form than the female form in some senses, right? Like,
yeah. It does actually. I did find that because it's obviously for a guy, it's kind of like
like they show a guy's penis more than they only show a woman's boobs. They don't show her lower half.
yeah, or
Whereas-
very few
Yeah,
times.
yeah. Whereas, well, with the guys, they don't really. There's only one scene where they two.
Yeah.
I forgot about the one of them. I only remember
At
the rich guy.
end, when the girl goes into the new body and she goes into that
Which girl?
Elliot, the
daughter.
the daughter, when she goes into the new body and she goes into a person's room and you see two dead bodies.
Oh, yeah,
and then
yeah,
the guy,
yeah.
like the guy was just wearing the shirt
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
no pants. I was like,
Oh yeah, I don't remember that because he was a background. I
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
know.
no, but it's kind of like, did you have to do that? Like,
Look,
I felt like with a lot of the nudity, it really wasn't necessary.
okay, no, I don't agree with you on that. With the scenes that they showed the guys
Yeah.
in Full Monty, that second one that you're talking about when you saw the guy with no pants on, he was in a whorehouse.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
he just finished business, so
Yeah.
I understand why he didn't have pants on.
Yeah.
Look, in actual fact, it sometimes bugs me when you have scenes in movies and TV shows
Yeah.
when two people are in bed together, right?
and
Like
then
they just finished having
Yeah,
sex.
and then they walk out and they've got pants on.
Yeah, and you're like, wait, what? At least pretend you were putting pants on inside the blankets and
Yeah.
stuff. But there's so many times they walk out and they're wearing underwear, and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
okay, whatever. So in this sense, I was fine with it. In the first instance where you had a full Monty, you had the rich guy walk into an office, so to speak,
Yeah.
and he was completely naked. And that actually made sense because he had just moved into a new body and his body hadn't been dressed yet.
Yeah.
And also in this show, the whole idea was that because people have their consciousness in a stack, they could change bodies at will, essentially, if you have enough money. So bodies, which in this show is called sleeves, are disposable, are not really, they don't really represent you. Yeah. So if you show it off, who cares? Like, right? Like, oh, so everyone's seen your body. Oh, just change into a different body. No one knows what that looks like, right? Like, it doesn't really matter. Like, if anything, that just emphasizes one of the points in this show, right? Bodies don't mean anything.
Yeah.
So that's fine. I don't mind them showing that much nudity. There's a point. The sex, I don't get. Like, these are not just like a couple of seconds of like ecstasy that they show on a person's face. No,
They last a while.
they do last a while. And since Peter was watching this on an iPad on the plane, and I mentioned it to Peter, I'm like, you know, if people were glancing at your screen and they see nudity, right? They see some guy naked walking across the screen. They could assume it's a movie. And they might even watch a little bit of a second because it's just a nude guy on the screen. And they would find out, oh, you're just watching a movie or a TV show because you see what's going on. When you see a guy watching a show that is a sex scene, I think most people would avert their eyes just so that you're not, like, you know, perving on someone perving on porn on a plane. So I'm just thinking, it's more likely that people would think you're watching porn on a plane when you're not watching porn on a plane. Like, if the sex scene lasts for like
that
5
long.
minutes, like, you know, people might think, okay, what are you doing? It's a very artsy.
It is very pretty in how they do the sex scenes, and it is done in nice taste.
Yes, but if
But
I'm
it is
watching
just-
this in the living room and my parents walk past, Okay, by the way, I'm introducing my parents to this show. And then when the sex scene came on, I just had to leave. It's like one of those things, you just can't watch sex scenes with your parents.
No.
It's just, no matter how old you are,
Yeah,
it's
it's
just,
like, just no.
like I got up and my mother's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "No, I have to walk out for the next 5 minutes."
Yeah, this is just, you keep watching. I'm just going to go and get a drink.
She did laugh at me, but she understood. I mean, this is just going to be weird for
Yeah.
everyone involved.
What did we like about the show?
What did we like about this show?
Like, first, I actually really enjoyed the show. I quite enjoyed the story as I binged it in 2 days, so that helped. The one thing I will especially mention is I love the way how they portray bilingual people.
Okay.
That was actually one of the first things that actually struck me, was how accurate it is in some respects. I see a lot of TV shows or movies where they have bilingual actors and they try to show them as bilingual, and it always feels really fake to me. Because they always have these people speaking in one language in a long exposition, and then have them speak in the second language in a long exposition. And as a bilingual speaker, that very, very rarely happens. Like, or not very rarely, but
Depends on who they're talking
depends
to.
on who I'm talking to. But as in a day-to-day life, it's always interjected with different languages. So you always kind of switch and change and chop and between languages.
Yep.
And especially, for example, when you're swearing, you'll find that most bilingual people would tend to swear in a particular language most of the time, and then speak in a different language or whatever. And I loved how the way in this one, Ortega is the female lead, I guess, and she's Spanish. And every time she swears, it's always in Spanish. And she will say things in Spanish. She'll have like most things that she says in English, but then there'll be a lot of interjecting Spanish in her speeches, and that's really realistic for me. And it's I think it's one of the first shows that I've seen that's actually portrayed that aspect of a bilingual person accurately in my mind.
Okay.
Seriously.
I'm just trying to get my thoughts in order. So I'm typing things out because I need to keep my mind. Because I have the memory of a goldfish. When Peter's saying something and I think of a point, I need to write it down, because by the time he finished making his point,
She'll forget it.
I would have forgotten, or I have thought something else.
Yeah. So you keep on writing then.
No. I'm done there.
Okay, right.
For this point, I'm done. There was something else I was going to write, and I already forgot. Aye.
God damn it. Actually, no, I should just call you Dory.
No. I hate that fish. I hate that fish so much. Like, it's one thing to have the memory of a goldfish. If you have the memory of Dory, you should have died ages ago. Like, just Darwin's, it just doesn't, she is a freak of nature. Like, seriously. When she forgets where her home is, when she forgets what she's doing, she should have been eaten. Like,
I forgot. Are you a dangerous fish?
Look, I didn't, she annoyed me in Finding Nemo, but I detested her in Finding Dory. Like that, I don't know why I went to watch it, but I never felt so frustrated and so infuriated in a cinema.
Okay, we're going off topic again.
Okay.
Back to Altered Carbon. We're not talking about Finding Dory.
You mentioned it first. So you were saying how bilingual people represented very well in the show. And I think one of the reasons why is when you have a person who's bilingual and they're speaking to an English only character, it doesn't make sense for them to speak in Spanish.
Yeah.
Because the other person won't understand them. The reason why it works so well in this show is because in the show it seems like everyone can understand any
Every
language.
language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like everyone has a babelfish in their ear.
Yeah.
And everything gets translated. So you can explode for 5 minutes speaking in your native tongue, and people could speak back to you in their native tongue, and no one misses a beat, no one bats an eye. And to be honest, I would find that to be really interesting. I don't think really, I don't think it's kind of. I don't think you can expect everyone to learn every language out there,
Yeah.
but I can expect everyone to have a device sometime
That
in
can
the future that can
translate
translate everything for you.
Yeah.
Right.
So
So
it's kind of happening already in
kind
some
of like,
respects.
I mean, some of the translations a bit rough.
Yeah.
But like major languages, I can
yeah,
understand.
and you know, you get the gist of things.
Yeah. If someone's swearing at you, you can get it. So, okay. So the question was what we like about the show. Like you were saying that you like the show, right? I do like the show. I can complain about a show without disliking a show.
Oh, we complain about shows that we like all the time. If our readers haven't, or our listeners haven't realized that by now, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and also, I think it's also because we talk about it afterwards. Like we watch it and we enjoy it while we're watching it, but then when we have to talk
Dissect
about
it.
it brings up issues, and you're like, oh yeah, that was an issue. It wasn't much of an issue while I was watching it.
But
Or
now when I think about it,
yeah, like it could have been a minor thing that kind of niggled you and or nagged you while you're watching a show, and it just becomes bigger when you talk about it later.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed the show. I enjoyed how this was the thing I wanted to talk about and I forgot to write down. Takeshi bought drugs in the first episode from a guy.
Drugs,
yeah. And the guy gave the drugs to him in a pink backpack.
yeah,
And he carried that pink backpack
throughout the whole show.
And so you're this big, hulking guy with all this muscle, intense look on his face. He looks like he could kill. Well, no, it looks like he can kill
you.
people with his bare hands. And then he's hugging this pink backpack, like not hugging. Sometimes you have it over his shoulders. Just this, that juxtaposition is so. I just enjoyed that so much. It's like at the same time, it's like this is a serious show, but don't take us too seriously sometimes. Like we are having fun here, even though everyone's really serious and people are dying left, right, and center. We're still showing you these little bits that make you kind of like
Laugh.
take joy in the show. So that's one part that brought me joy. The other thing that brought me joy was Poe, right? Like, you know, obviously Poe is the
character in the show.
No, I meant as in like because he's the AI who's in charge of the Raven Hotel, but it's also like Poe, the author, and his poem Raven. Yeah, it's all. That's why he's talking about death and all that stuff. Like originally, that he had that the atmosphere. He had that kind of spooky, kind of like intimate atmosphere when he walked in. That was Poe. But I really enjoyed him. Like, I don't know why. I just really enjoyed that character. So when he's kind of like, I don't know. It was just...
He's the clingy girlfriend.
Yeah, but it's not just that, right? Like, his character was so in-depth. Like, he has a group of buddies who are all AIs and
they have a gambling session.
Yeah, and he loses a lot of money apparently. But at the same time, there's some that it's kind of like a group of friends that you're a group of friends because you are close proximity to each other, because you can tell that some of them don't really like each other and they give each other a lot of crap.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of how he says like he hasn't had a
customer
for 50 years, and so he's like over enthusiastic about it. He wants to brag to other people that I have my first customer in like 50 years. I don't know, I really enjoyed that. So okay, in case people didn't realize, there will be spoilers. So I'm just letting you know. So when he died, I was really sad. Because of all characters, like, just really quickly jump to another point here. We were talking about whether there'll be a second season. And I was saying, there's not likely because... Well, even if there were, it would be all completely new cast
it'll be completely
and stuff
new cast.
like that.
Even the main character.
Yeah. I was wondering whether Poe could have been one of those characters that
could come back.
Yeah, could have spanned across the thing, right? Like, Takeshi could... Well, he could still go. Like, if Takeshi goes to a different planet, there could be another Poe... It could be a franchise.
Yeah.
Right?
Could
There's
be.
another Poe Raven Hotel somewhere else. That would kind of be kind of cool. But yeah, I don't know. Okay, that's one of the things, right? With an AI hotel, I don't understand why you wouldn't want to live there. Okay, I understand that, like, the clinginess, all that kind of stuff. But especially for an AI hotel that no one is living in except for yourself, the level... Because they're hardwired to want to serve the customer, right?
Yeah.
And I understand that if the whole hotel was full, then obviously they'll treat the customers who paid more better service.
Yeah.
But if there were no other customers,
You are the only one.
You are the only one. Even if you don't pay the highest level of quality, they just want to please you. You are their only focus, right? The level of service that you get, they will do everything. They'll clean your house, everything. You don't have to give them tips either, right? So it's like, I just think, why would you not want to stay there? It feels like a perfect situation to me, right?
I don't know. I presume, it isn't actually cheap to go into that hotel. Like, it does seem like it is expensive to go into that hotel. Not everyone can afford to go into that hotel.
No, they just make it seem like, it's like, you could go there for cheap if you don't mind a small bed with nothing in it kind of thing.
I agree. No, I agree. I liked Poe. I didn't like him as much as you did, obviously.
Who do you like in the show more than Poe?
The grandma. Definitely the grandma.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, but the grandma's only there for an episode.
I don't know, but she stole the show. She stole that whole episode. Okay, so the grandma who...
Ortega's
grandma
is dead.
Is dead. She... just saying, Ortega's family is fairly religious.
Yeah.
Most of them anyway. And so they have the...
in this world, if you're religious, you could have a code put into your chip so that when you die, people know that you don't want to be spun up again. For religious reasons, because they believe if you're spun up after you're dead, then you lose your ability to go to heaven.
Yeah. And so a lot of these people, a lot of her family have that code.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unless you renounce your religion, then you can remove it.
Yep.
Ortega's grandma renounced her religion.
Yep.
And so she comes back every once in a while. I
well, they didn't actually say that they did this previously because the mother looked shocked, so this must be the first time they've done it.
Probably.
But it was the Festival of the Dead.
Yeah,
right?
And so they bring her back. The reason why I find this so interesting was because...
Ortega... Okay, the only reason why Ortega did this was because a little earlier on, she essentially assaulted a convict that was brought into the precinct, and so they had a spare body lying around.
Yeah,
makes me wonder what happened to the convict though. Did he die? Or did they just pull his chip? I don't know what happened. Yeah. So they had a spare body lying around, and she puts her grandma in there.
Yeah.
And lies to her mother and says, "I rented a body."
Yeah.
Now the body that she had was this big,
burly,
hulking,
tattooed,
gangster
guy.
He looked like a bikie.
Yeah.
Right, without the beard.
Yeah. But you have this guy acting like the grandma.
Yeah.
And it was brilliant. I love that scene. It's so effective in its juxtaposition to have this hulking, tattooed, muscular guy talking to little children and laughing and acting all grandmother-like and go like, oh. That was a really great scene. I love that whole... Like, that whole episode was like a whole highlight for me.
Okay. I think the reason why that didn't affect me as much is because I'm not saying this as anything against you, okay? Yeah. But I see, the whole burly, hulking, leather jacket wearing kind of bikey look that he had. He had a leather vest kind of thing.
Yeah.
I have seen other places where they kind of like, you have this big hulking guy, but he knits in a corner or somewhere. But most importantly, personally, I've experienced a situation where I'm like, okay, so this is not, don't judge
a book by its cover.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of times I do judge a book by cover, but no. Specifically this type of cover. Yeah. Because I was on a Greyhound bus from Melbourne to Sydney once with some family members, and I was like 12 at that time. And because of the number of people we were there, we had odd number of people.
Yeah.
And the relatives who were there, they couldn't speak English.
Yeah.
So I was the one regulated to sit by myself.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in this chair by myself until this guy sits next to me, and he had like he was like the bikey kind of thing, right? And when you're a 12-year-old kid and you see something like, you're kind of scared shitless. And so I wasn't saying or doing anything. I was going to be like the quietest, most well-behaved kid, kind of like trying to melt into the seat, like just don't hurt me. And like suddenly the guy turns over to me and he holds up. Okay, this is another thing. Like, seriously, as a kid, I should not have done. He holds out a candy. Don't accept candy from strangers. But my family was sitting in the next row or whatever. It's fine.
Yeah.
But what shocked me was his voice. He had a very soft, very mellow, like from my memory, right?
Mellow voice.
Very mellow voice, and he was like speaking. Do you want a lolly? Kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And I was old enough then to actually know the phrase, don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
So that was like, I felt ashamed. Like, I did take the candy,
Yeah.
and it's not like we had a long conversation,
Yeah.
but that was a big turning point for me
Yeah.
because I was like, okay, what kind of stereotypes did you have?
Yeah, when he
Because
sat
I
in-
wasn't thinking, oh, he's a biker, but I was scared.
Yeah.
Right? Without thinking about all the reasons why
Yeah.
I was just scared. I'm like, why the hell were
Were
you
you
scared
scared?
of this guy? Right? Don't do this ever again because that's not cool.
Yeah.
Right? So when I watched this show, it was less of a juxtaposition because probably in my mind,
You already
I had
had
the
that.
thing where it's like, don't ever judge bikies.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because, that's just not cool.
Yeah.
So when he was a grandma, I'm like, oh yeah, no. What I enjoyed was not so much that he was a bikie who was a grandma. What I enjoyed was when he went to the loo, and you mentioned that as well. He went in, like she went in the bathroom and was like, look, I'm peeing standing up, and the fact that she liked to shock her family members
Yeah.
because of the way she looks, and she's a grandma,
Yeah.
and all of that stuff. So.
Yeah.
No, I understand why that was very enjoyable.
I think I also really enjoyed it because she had such a different outlook than Ortega's mother.
Oh, yes.
Because I hated Ortega's mother. So it felt great that you have someone that she can't talk back to. That she can say whatever she wants, and the mother just has to like
Take it.
bite her teeth and bite her tongue, and just go. It felt great because like every other time you see Ortega Mother, it seems to be the one that's all like superior and like you have to listen to me, or whatever. I just felt it's like yes, someone put her in her place. I was like, you tell her. Okay.
Well, in saying that, like when Ortega's whole family was massacred, I didn't actually think that was as impactful as I thought it could have been. Like, that's the thing with this show. You could do a lot of violence to each other, like body-wise, and
Yeah.
as long as your stack is not destroyed, as long as you don't shoot each other in the head, they don't die. You can bring them back. Even if they lose an arm, you could just give them a new arm. As long as you have money,
Yeah.
it's fine. So, in this show, although at the start certain action scenes are fairly effective, as you watch it, they become less effective because you can see all the stuff that they could do with technology. Like, it's nothing, right? What remained impactful was the moment that they blow out a stack.
Yeah.
Because of the fact you could see how long these people could live or the amount of damage that they can sustain. When you see that they are gone forever and the speed at which it happens, like the lack of ceremony is just, you suddenly see a spray of blue sparkles
Yeah.
and you know that
The stack's gone
Yeah.
and he's actually dead.
Yeah, then you're like, oh, crap, okay. Like, you didn't have to do that. That's the other thing, right? You don't have to kill someone. You can disable someone and you can bring them back later. So if you destroy someone, you're doing it on purpose. Like, really, like, you're deliberate about doing some of these things. So, like, when Ortega's partner was killed, I was like, oh my God, he's gone. Like, he jumped in the way of a shot meant for Ortega to
Yeah.
save her. Technically speaking, he should have jumped higher so that his neck was not in the way. Like, of all spots to hit. Anyway, but when he died, I was like, oh, damn.
That he's dead.
Yeah, so when you see Ortega's family murdered, you don't see the process, right? For some unknown reason, they decided to keep all of that out. Like, you don't see the process by which these people are killed. You just see their bodies.
Yeah.
And it kind of takes it away, like, in a way. Like, I just don't, I
okay.
don't, that was like, oh, okay, so they're all dead. Oh,
I,
like,
I
every
don't
one of
know
them is
whether
dead.
showing them having the stacked blown out would have made it more impactful.
Well, probably it won't because you
necessarily.
don't like the mother.
Well, I found most of Ortega's family to be quite forgettable.
Yes.
So
okay.
it's like, you know, whenever you see any other show when, you know, people that is kind of not really relevant
you
to
just
story,
like it.
you just kind of like, okay, he's dead now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't think that would have made a difference for me.
Yeah,
whether
okay,
showing it
fair
or
enough.
not. Well, let's talk about what we don't like. I think we're already starting to talk about what we don't like anyway. But yeah, let's go into stuff that bugged us
Yep.
in this show.
You want to talk about that bit?
Which bit?
Oh, you didn't see the highlight?
Nope.
Okay, the scene where Takeshi and
Oh, yeah, right, yeah. So this, so you have okay. So the main character Takeshi, he has a sister,
Yep.
Whom they
They have a flashback, and
that-
at this point of flashback, they had not seen each other for 20 years.
Yep.
Because they jump back and forth in
yeah.
time. So,
The premise being, you know, he joined the Protectorate, which is a military thing.
Yeah.
When when he joined them, the military said, "I promise you, we'll take care of your sister."
Yep.
And that's why he joined.
Yep.
All for the sake of giving his sister a better chance,
Yep.
having good life and good family. What he didn't know was that the military didn't actually do that and just sold her off to the
Mafia.
Yakuza. Okay, so 20 years later, he comes back to his own family.
He comes back to
to
home
his
planet.
home planet. Goes on this mission to
Take out
subdue
this-
a Yakuza head or
Yep.
whatever. And suddenly he meets his sister,
Yep.
who is working for this Yakuza guy.
Yep.
They spend, what,
3 seconds?
3 seconds looking at each other?
Like, he's like, oh, you're my brother. Oh,
You're
you're
my
my
sister.
sister. And then in this situation, the army people want to kill the Yakuza wants to kill the army people. So what do these two siblings decide to do?
Let's kill everyone.
Yeah. Like, forget about the fact that the Yakuza, no matter how shit they were, they raised me for the past 20 years. I was just going to massacre them all. And from Takeshi's point of view, like, forget all my military training
And
and
loyalty to, you know...
all my friends who I've been serving with for the past 20 years, but I'm assuming some of these people are his friends, right?
Ignore that I'm going to kill them all.
Yeah, it's not like they were just killing the bodies either. They were doing real death, weren't they?
Yeah, they were killing them.
They were shooting out the stacks. So I'm like, wait, what? Like, where's loyalty, people? Loyalty?
It's like, I think we had this discussion last time about that whole, like, blood is thicker than water and how we just both don't agree with that. But no, it's, and the fact that, you know, they can seem to be so in sync with each other
Yep.
at an instant.
Yep.
After not having seen each other for 20 years. And it's not like
Well,
when
I don't okay, to be honest, was it 20 years? What are they? I thought that they got separated when they were like 10.
Probably.
So I don't think they were 30 when they met each other.
I don't know, but it was a substantial
Yeah,
period of
yeah,
time,
yeah,
and it
fair.
wasn't like before that it showed like
No, they did say that. Do you trust me? You know, like when they were kids and they supposedly trust each other.
No. What I was saying is like it didn't show them as kids being so in sync with each other.
Ah, right.
Like if they had shown them being as kids and always knew what each other was going to do or something, I can kind of extrapolate it to the nth degree and go, okay, this is just them being siblings and being so in sync with each other. But it never showed that either. So for
No.
me, it was just like,
But you see, they were never in sync ever again. It was never like this is their thing. Like they could fight. No, they just did this so that they had a cool scene where two people kind of like shot everyone and killed everyone.
takes down two armies, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a big issue with that
Yeah.
scene. It just, like, it looked pretty.
Yep.
Very pretty.
Yep.
I was just, during the whole scene, I was just like, why are you guys doing this?
I had less issue with this synchronicity. I had more issues with the fact that okay, you're just going to turn on everyone
that
you
you
know
knew.
because you met someone you grew up with when you were a kid.
Yeah.
And is there not another way of doing this? I don't know.
And you mentioned this prior to us recording. It's like, how do you really know it's her?
Yeah.
He just looks like her.
Yeah.
It could be a different person stack in the sleeve.
Well, the necklace, right? The necklace apparently shows
Oh,
everything, right? Like,
yeah. who did you get the necklace? Oh, it was my mother's or something.
Yeah, right. That's how it doesn't
yeah.
matter how you look at it. You know,
Yeah.
it's the fact she knew about the necklace. Yeah.
Yeah.
But more like it's not just the fact that how do you know that's her? It's more like how do you know what she's like now?
Yeah, like she could be a serial killer. Well, actually, she
Is
is
a
the serial.
Right. Like so, it's like, wow. Okay.
Yeah, way to throw away the last, X amount of years for someone that you just met back like less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Anyway, next thing. What do you?
What I had
else
issue
bugged
with?
you?
One of the things I had an issue with while I was watching it, a very small issue, was that so you could change bodies at will,
Yeah.
right? And you bring your memories with you.
Yep.
This brings back to a topic we had outside of this recording. We were talking about whether your body is part of you, like whether it's just your mind that is you, or whether your body forms part of you.
Yeah.
When you move bodies, how do I say that? Do you think your accent is because of your body or your mind? Right, the way you speak.
Yeah.
I understand that your voice.
Yeah.
Is dependent on your voice box.
Yeah.
So of course, if you go into a male's body and you were a female, you'll speak like a man, like vocally, audibly, you're like a man because you've taken on a man's body.
Yeah.
But your accent and the words that you use is purely dependent upon your mind, right? Although okay. The way you roll your R's,
Yeah.
there are some bodies that are not physically possible because
Yeah.
they just don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
But I just don't feel okay. You had that bad guy. You know how you had that bad guy, the one who jumped so many bodies, he went slightly mad.
Oh,
And he
yeah,
had a
yeah,
body,
yeah.
like he had a brother. So he jumped from multiple bodies. He jumped into the grandma's body, like the big hulking guy's
Yeah.
body, and he spoke with whatever that guy's accent was. Then he jumps into Takeshi's old Japanese body,
And then
he speaks with a Japanese accent.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, what? Like how? Like.
Yeah, your accent shouldn't change.
Your accent should not change. And I understand it's very hard to get the actors to go and say, you've got to learn all these different accents.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's just that one extra step you should take to make this more believable.
Like, even if it's a bad accent, at least.
Because that's more explainable, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because
'Cause
you
you're-
want to say the accent, but your body
doesn't-
can't produce the sounds.
Yeah, it's
That
not
makes
used
more
to
sense.
doing it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But when you're like taking on this perfect Japanese accented English, I'm like, where are you learning that from? Like, what? How does that work? So I that was a
I think that bugged me a lot less just because I didn't pay attention to that as much. I was just...
no. I only paid attention to that when the bad guy was doing that jump, and he jumped into Takeshi's body, and that was when I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So I was like a bit not so cool with that bit.
Yeah. I felt like the show tried to tackle too much in a sense. Like, the show brings a lot of like philosophical questions into play.
As would happen.
As
with,
will happen, obviously, with something like this. Like, are you really human if you have a stack? Like, are you still actually human? Like, because you've got this thing, is that...
Well, is that your soul?
Yeah, is that your soul or is it not? Or, or are you just data? And, if you clone yourself, who's really you? Like, there's a lot of morality.
Or even just the idea that you have AIs. Like, you have Poe as a hotel. Is he human?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
and the whole thing about, death, if you don't shoot someone's stack and you just kill the body, is that still killing someone?
well, it's interesting. They call that, organic damage,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
what, is it damage?
I can't remember.
There was a word that they used. That was interesting.
Yeah. But it's not considered death
No.
in this show.
No.
But
it's not considered murder.
Murder, yeah.
Yeah.
But it brings the question is like, is it though? Like, do we accept that as... Like, if you just kill a body but not the mind, are you still killing someone?
I don't think it is.
I think it is. So anyway.
Whereas I think if you torture someone, regardless of whether you're torturing the body or the mind or anything, because that memory is retained and moves on to the next body that you give them, that I think is torture. See, okay, this is where the difference is, right? Because we had a conversation before, as I said, was Peter's idea is that Peter's belief is that,
I believe that the body encompasses you.
Yes.
Like, it's not just the mind.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I get, the mind is what you think and everything, but I believe, in my opinion, that
your identity
includes your body as it is now. And Serena is of the opinion that it's just the mind.
Yeah. Like, no, the body is part of your identity, but you could shed it. You could change it. And your mind is flexible enough to
adapt to different bodies.
To take a different thing. Like, okay, I got a tattoo.
Yeah.
It's now part of me, right?
Yeah.
You go and get plastic surgery. You now have a new boob, new nose, new whatever. You just accept it. I mean, I know that for a fact that, when people start doing plastic surgery, they might get addicted to it and they just constantly... And there's, like, psychological side effects of, like, getting your face changed all the time. But because of the fact that I think everything is mainly your mind, when death is just the body and doesn't touch your mind, I don't think that's murder. Whereas torture is part of experience and it does get transferred with you to your next body. That is more heinous than destroying
a body.
It's like someone crashed into your car.
And
Okay, give you a new car.
And that's interesting. I guess as our society kind of develops and we kind of go closer to these questions, is what becomes more serious. Obviously, at the moment, murder is the most serious because once you're dead, you're dead, right? If you don't necessarily die, would that still make it such a serious crime then? And
it becomes vandalism.
Yeah. And how? But and where on the scale does these things fit? I don't know.
Well, I think it also becomes like, okay, if you destroy the body of a rich guy, it shouldn't matter as much as destroying the body of a poor person, because a rich person can replace it, a poor person cannot. And I just feel like, well, it seems like a flip here because normally the rich people, if you piss them off, it's a bigger deal, right? Because they have the power to punish you. But at the same time, I feel like morally, like this guy has so many, like he has more than enough money to replace it. This poor person that you killed, they can't afford a new sleeve, and they have to be sleeved into whatever thing's lying around.
How different it is to it nowadays? When you go and destroy a rich person's car compared to destroy a
Of course, that's why I say morally, not legally.
Yeah, no, like. Anyway,
legally, it's supposed to be the same.
Yeah. No, anyway, but yeah, so I feel like the show delves into a lot of these issues. Unfortunately, because the way
show is too short.
Well, the show is too short, and because the show is quite disjointed in a way, you're never really fully absorbed into these discussions. They're really fleeting. Like
because they're trying to do too many.
Yeah, there are too many things at the same time. So you're like, yes, that's a very good point, and now I have to pay attention to something else and something else, and this is another moral questions, and now I've forgotten what the first one is. Or I don't have time to kind of go back into it.
This is more like a, like I said, it feels like a lot of short stories. Like they're trying to show you all these little different parts of this world. Oh, this is the AI world. This is the sex industry world. This is the rich people's world. This is the rebellion world. So they're showing all you these things at the same time as showing you all these different questions.
Yeah.
And they just don't have time.
Yeah, to delve into them in detail. And I feel that's one of the problems. Like, it's a good show, but and it brings a lot of things to question, but it never gives you enough time to really ask yourself.
They don't give you an answer. They don't even give you enough time to think about it before the show's over.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason why I kind of wanted a second season, because it's like, I want to see more of this world, right? I want to see more, like more time to think about it, whatever. It's just that I just don't think there's a story.
Well, not with this particular characters anyway. And they've already said it's pretty unlikely that they can use the same characters.
Well, I mean, this is one of those situations, if they were to go with it, right?
Yeah.
Because people don't die.
Yeah.
You can have Takeshi go on for hundreds and hundreds of years, and he's like constantly encountering all these different scenarios, situations, and all these questions. And, you could see a way of how you serialize it, but
but
then...
it's no... Like, you won't have the same actors doing it.
Yeah, and you just don't have the connection with
Yeah.
anybody, right?
Yeah, because it's very difficult. Because I guess because we were talking about how like some shows like Doctor Who can kind of get away with it because the Doctor kind of regenerates into a different one.
Yeah.
But there are people surrounding him stays fairly constant.
Well,
there's
the companion stays constant,
Yeah.
and that's how they keep you interested. You're not interested in the individual stories are just a tantalizing thing to give you. This is a way of thinking about something. Oh, that's an interesting concept. But what's keeping you coming back is does Rose and the Doctor ever get together? Or like, what is Rory and God.
Don't ask me. I don't watch Doctor Who. So.
But like, there's just you want to see how the characters develop. You
Yeah.
want to see how the interaction between these characters.
The problem with this one is there's no constant.
No.
Like, I guess what I'm saying is in Doctor Who, there's at least some constant.
Yeah.
Or like, even if it's not always there, it's like, I don't know, maybe the Doctor is here for a few seasons and he'll bridge on to new companions that are there for a certain amount of period. I don't know.
Whenever there's a new Doctor, do try to keep the companion for like a couple of episodes or even a season to help the transition. So you have someone to keep you
Grounded.
interested.
Yeah.
But it does mean, and I have noticed, whenever they change Doctors, there are always going to be fans that are unhappy because some people just don't like the new Doctor, no matter who you bring along to kind of thing. So with Altered Carbon, they can't even keep the main character. Like, okay,
They can't even keep one person there all
Yeah.
the time because he changes.
you have to use the old Takeshi.
Yeah.
At least one person has to come in from the previous season.
Yeah.
To link on, to get you emotionally attached to all these new people you're going to interact
And the only
with.
one you can think of in this season would be the young Takeshi that we see.
Why the young? You mentioned this before. I know we didn't actually talk about it. Why the young one and not the older one?
Didn't the older one already die? Like, didn't his body get destroyed?
But DNA.
It's not cheap to clone one, right?
I think Takeshi still has plenty of money,
True.
right? No, but why would the young one be around? It's been 250 years.
Yeah, true. No, I just feel like because I don't remember the old one that much because he was in only like 2 episodes.
Yeah, but he did that last fight scene, right, when the bad guy took him over. Not the last fight scene, you know, the fight scene where they were put into the ring to fight against each other.
Yeah.
So he was around there. That's the newest body he has
Yeah.
that he could have taken the DNA from.
Yeah.
Whereas the younger version, where would he find him? Like, we don't even know what happened to him.
I don't know, just because we see the younger one a lot more in the show,
Yeah.
we have a lot more connection with that
He's a
particular...
prettier version.
Yeah, that also... yeah, that is true. I don't know, or at least like one of them, or both of them, would be the only way you can kind of link
Look,
it.
the only way that they could bring those people back is if there's more flashbacks.
Yeah, true.
There's so many flashbacks in this show.
Oh yeah, God, are there flashbacks? It's like every episode, it's like, hey, let me do a flashback again and again and again.
And that's one of these things, right? Because this show always, they delay telling you stuff. So they show you a scene and you think you've gotten all your information. And then later on they show you the same scene and they give you
Add
more
more.
information. And it was fine at the start. And in the end, it's kind of like I got a little tired of it. It's like you're constantly holding things back.
Yeah.
Just tell me it. It's a little forced.
It's fine when you're holding information back to prolong the suspense.
Yep.
But there's only so much length of suspense that a person can hold before it no longer becomes suspenseful.
Yeah, before they could become numb.
Yeah, and I feel like the problem in this show was we've become numb in so many instances that by the last episode, it's like, can you just get it over and done with? Like, I don't care anymore.
Yeah, okay. But that's also because they've taken all suspense or sense of danger out of it.
Yeah.
Because they clone Takeshi
Yeah.
at the end, and the
You
clone
have
goes
two
somewhere
Takeshi.
else. And so it's like, well, anything that happens to this guy, if he dies, there's still another version of him somewhere else. Like, all his friends are screwed because
because they haven't done it.
yeah, they don't have a clone. But you know, the last fight scene between him and his sister, the only people in danger were them.
Yeah.
Right? And the sister's supposed to be a bad guy, so she dies, it's fine. And the amount of damage that they're doing to each other, the slicing and dicing, have I mentioned this already?
No, I don't think so.
Not in the recording yet. All the slicing and dicing is like, well, you've seen Ortega's arm get chopped off, essentially. And she gets a new arm and she's like recovered within a day or so. So there's no danger, right? People recover. So when you see Takeshi and the sister fight and you're like, well,
What's the point of
just
the fight?
just get this over and done with. Like, the only thing that matters is if you destroy the stack, just destroy it. The fighting was just so over the top, dance like, and like, I just didn't.
Okay, as someone who's learned a bit of martial arts, if you're gonna fight someone, you would aim for weaknesses. If you knew that the only way you can kill someone is by blowing out the stack or whatever, that is the point that you'll be
Trying to
aim at. Not this flailing about and, you know, slicing of
arm, leg.
like, especially you're not even incapacitating him so that you can attack the stack. Like, it's just like there should be a lot more focus on them trying to.
Well, okay. The sister will never want to try and kill Takeshi,
No.
right? She wants him alive, which is more like, I would have thought she would have done more like lopping his arm off or like hamstringing him or something.
Yeah.
Instead, she's like, oh, I'll take a slice out of your abdomen here. I'll take a slice out of your upper arm there. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, are you, I don't know, are you making like kebabs? What is going on?
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of the sister, like that whole sisterly love,
The incestuous
love
thing.
love that she has for him is just no, just no.
Can I mention that you like Sword Art Online?
Yeah, I hated her character as well. She annoyed the crap out of me.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't know. I like her as an actress. Actually,
yeah.
I remember. Did you ever watch Dollhouse?
No,
Okay.
I know she was in it.
Yeah. I find her very interesting to look at. Like she's not what you normally call
Pretty.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she's very interesting.
She has very unique features.
Yeah.
I find
Yeah.
that it's you look at it and go like that's interesting. Like
I'm interested to see when she's not blonde. Because everything I've seen her in, she's blonde.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the one thing I have to say is like because I'm a big Bones fan, so when I saw Prescott.
I'm a big Bones fan.
Obviously not as big as me.
Yeah,
it's Dr.
what?
Saronian.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, yes. I do know what you're talking about.
Like when Prescott comes in, it's like that's Dr. Saronian. I was like yes, and then I was like oh, but she's a bad person in this one.
Yeah, I was like, wait, she's evil?
I'm like no, you can't do this to me. How dare you?
But this is another one of those situations. Okay, so we haven't mentioned this yet, but Lawrence in this show is an evil dude.
Yeah.
Okay? But they don't really tell you why he's evil. Like, the only reason why he's evil... I mean, sure, he's a business person. He's overbearing. He's
terrible
controlling.
father.
Yeah. He's controlling. But he's not
Evil in a sense.
You know.
He's not in what we kind of see that should be a villain.
Yeah. He's not a very nice person.
No.
But he's not like cruel, like on purposely cruel, I think, in a way. Like, he seems to have a reason. I mean, sure, all bad guys have a reason for why they're doing what they're doing. But, like, if you're saying evil, I would think the sister's a little bit more evil.
Yeah.
Like, moral compass-wise, she's more evil than the father. So, I think also Dr. Saronian, well, I can't remember her name.
Yeah.
Prescott?
Yeah, Prescott. Yeah.
Was she evil?
Yeah, no, she probably wasn't evil. She just wanted to become
Yeah.
a meth. Like, she just wanted to be
I
one of
couldn't help
those...
that in this show, like the moral compass of things, like people are getting punished.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they're getting punished, apart from the fact that either A, they're rich,
Yeah.
or B, they want to be rich.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, is that a bad thing? I don't understand. I probably am a little bit more, commercial.
Yeah. I don't know. I totally agree.
it's
Like,
just-
yeah, especially when you think at the end, when Lawrence realizes that he actually did
Kill.
for real. Like he made a real death of a girl,
Yeah.
or caused a real death of a girl. But he was drugged. He was drugged,
And he was drugged without his knowledge.
yeah, and yet he's now accountable for the real death of someone while he was under the influence of the drug. It's like,
Yeah.
is it really his?
That's not
fault?
really
Yeah.
his fault. I mean, he did manipulate the votes of a certain thing,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
technically isn't that what politicians do?
Yeah,
Or whatever, lobbyists do, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. You know, sure, you can investigate that bit, but
Yeah.
the death,
Like, it seems really hard for me to accept that he should be solely, like, not to say he's not responsible, but that he's solely responsible for that girl's death. That doesn't really sit well with me.
yeah, but then if he wasn't responsible, who do you consider responsible? The wife for drugging him? Considering the wife did say while she was getting arrested or whatever, she didn't know why they wanted to drug him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you could say
I mean,
that
there's a lot of things. It's hard to say, but I just feel like it's really
So the
unfair on-
sister is the one most at fault, no?
I
Yes?
always think she is supposed to be the evil person at the end of the day,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But yeah, it just feels like they try to paint Lawrence. They try to make you as an audience see him as a bad guy.
Yep.
But when you think about it, what has he actually done that is actually really evil? Not that many.
He was rich.
Yeah, he was rich. And he did a lot of things that was morally ambiguous, and he manipulated a lot of things, but that's what kind of rich people
Well, the
do, right?
idea I think that they're trying to say is he is one of the reasons why, or like he's part of this big. Okay, he is supposedly evil because he's a meth, right? Indulging in this lifestyle that they're trying to tell you is evil, right?
Yeah.
But
Basically,
he-
living forever is evil.
well, no, and also that party that he has, and he's telling everyone to bring a unique thing,
Yeah.
and the fact that they were eating. I can't remember what animal that they were eating. In that party, they were showing them slicing
Yeah.
meat, and it was actually an animal. Oh, a tiger. Right, and they were showing them buying really expensive artifacts and all that stuff, and so that in the end they punished this guy and said, "You see, this is evil. This is why you get punished." Except all those other people
They're not-
standing around,
they're
they
still there.
continue on with their lives.
Yeah.
They don't get punished.
Yeah,
Nothing
changes.
happens. Yeah.
There's nothing has changed in the status quo.
yeah.
It just feels quite unsatisfying.
Yeah.
Like we haven't actually mentioned Kel a lot
Yeah.
in this, but anyway, supposedly Kel is the person who figured out
She
she invented this
the stacks.
stacks. Because she wanted to live longer so she can see the universe. And she
Yeah.
was like, but what she felt afterwards, like, I've given humanity a curse.
Yes,
That's
because
what she feels, because
Yeah.
she feels like humans have now lost their humanity because now they can live forever,
Yeah.
and this is going to get worse.
Yeah.
And so the whole rebellion thing was so she can put a virus so that all stacks have a lifespan of 100 years. So she's basically putting a life
yeah.
sentence on everyone.
Yeah.
And that's her way of...
I don't think that's actually the way to do it either.
I know, right? It's just like when you think about it, it's like I can see her point, but at the same time, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with having living forever either, but I also don't agree with her way of doing it. So I'm torn. Like
no,
I don't,
I just
it was
feel-
like I feel it's like I don't care for either of you guys. Like
No, I just feel like, okay, you think people will lose their humanity if they live for too long. Instead of going drastically and say, let's make sure everyone dies at 100, is there no way that you think, okay, you were smart enough to create a technology that could save an entire human identity onto a chip, essentially. You don't think you could create a school that could teach people morality every 50 years? Like, reset them? I don't understand. Like, there has to be other less drastic
there
ways.
has to be better ways than just, let's kill everyone.
Yeah. Or, like, is there a way to partially remove their memories? Like, if the idea is that you think people would get numb, right?
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
Like, if you live too long, you become numb and you lose your humanity. Is there no way that every 100 years you reset the clock a little bit, keep most of your memories, but remove the emotional connection to these memories so that everything is new again? Like, just something, right? Instead of just killing everyone. I just feel like it's a 0 or 1 kind of situation
it's
for her.
all or nothing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, there are certainly issues that we have with this show.
Oh, I still like it.
I love the show. I would definitely recommend people watching it. It's if you do watch it in binge, it's very engaging. But do watch it in binge because if you break it up, it gets very hard to follow.
Yeah, especially if you accidentally stop at a point where the story changes from one to the other.
Yeah,
You
quite
lose
drastically.
track. Before we finish, let me ask you one question. I think I already know what your answer would be. Given the choice, will you get a stack? Really? You have to think about this?
Yeah, why not? I believe that I'm me with my body.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
But, you know, the fact that if I have a stack, I can live to see the future is a very enticing, very enticing proposition. Whether that's still me, I don't know.
But do you think you'd care?
Probably not. But is that still me? Probably not. But I would definitely think about it.
No, sorry. When I said you think about it, you mean it's not an instant yes?
It's not an instant yes. I think I would have to think about it just for a bit, but
Oh, okay.
I would love to see the future. I don't think, but I would need to think about this first. I don't think it's a necessary automatically yes for me.
Okay.
I know you're going to say yes because obviously.
Yeah, of course. No, because we're watching it and Andrew paused the show and was like, would you get it if you can? I'm like, of course. What? Wait, that's like...
That's a question?
That's a question.
You mean you wouldn't?
Yeah, why wouldn't you? I mean, apart from the fact that I can understand that over time you might get tired of life and you might just be like, I just want to end it all. I can understand that, but like, how do I say this? Have you ever read any of Anne Rice's books? Like, Interview with a Vampire?
No, I've seen the movie, but...
Okay. So one of the things was that the vampires, if they live for long enough, they bury themselves into a grave and sleep for 100 years or something, because you get tired of living and you just have to reset and rest for a bit.
Yeah.
And I feel like, oh, okay. Well, if I ever get tired, I just put myself on ice. Like, go to a lawyer and say, okay, put my thing on ice and wake me up in 100 years. But then I just realized we did say
because you don't go through time like
you
that.
don't rest. Yeah, the moment you go to sleep and you wake up, it's like
it's instant.
It's instant.
Yeah.
You don't get to
Reset.
dream or
you don't get to
you don't get
reset.
to do that.
Yeah, because
But you do get to experience everything new. Like, technology
That
was
is-
completely changed. And then, you'd be like the old granny who doesn't know how to use a computer.
Anyway, so that's our review slash afterthought of watching Altered Carbon.
Our opinion
Our opinion.
on Altered Carbon.
So yeah, what are we going to do next? Oh, we will do Korean Odyssey next. I promise. Because now I'm back in Australia, I can watch it.
I was going to again ask you, what do you think about the first couple of episodes? And I realized you haven't even watched that yet.
No, I have not. Actually, there was another show that I kind of wanted to watch, so I was thinking we could do that one after Korean.
What's that?
I can't remember. I just saw it just then.
Remind?
Yeah.
I watched that already.
Oh,
No, I watched that only a couple of days ago.
right.
What? We can still do it.
You'll probably go like,
I forgot
it all over.
this is not a show I could rewatch.
Is it?
Because do you know the premise?
Yeah, a bunch of school kids wake up on a table, dinner table, apparently.
No, not on a dinner table. A bunch of teenage schoolgirls wakes up tied to chairs at a dinner table, and then they try and figure out
What happened?
So the problem is, by the end of it, you do find out, right?
Yeah.
So rewatching it,
You've lost all the suspense. You've lost the drama,
kind of thing. So I can't rewatch it. No.
Which
I
is
mean-
the problem, because if I watch it, then they'll be like, "Oh, I've got all this," and you'll be like, "Oh, that was a while ago. I can't remember." Knowing your memory.
Yeah, knowing my memory. No, it's just, and I watched it all in one night, by the way.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, because I did want to. How do I say this? The acting. You've seen enough Japanese TV series and movies, right?
Yeah.
They act kind of like an anime. You know how
Ah, yeah.
live action
Anime.
doesn't work when they do anime stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
In saying that, I have to say that I really do want to watch Full Metal, the live action one.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. I
'Cause
I saw the picture. I didn't.
I was like, oh,
I don't know whether I want to.
I like.
I don't want to ruin Full Metal.
I know, right? But I actually didn't. It didn't seem as
Cartoonish.
and as bad as a lot of the anime crossed into live action. It actually looked okay from the trailer that I saw.
I'll look at the trailer and see.
I don't
how I feel
know.
about that.
It's all because I like the guy who plays Ed.
Okay. But yeah. Anyway, so that's another reason why I couldn't rewatch it. Like, I don't think I could stand it.
Yeah,
But,
fair
but of course, there are things that, like, because you know the result now,
Yeah.
rewatching it, there might be, I don't know since I haven't rewatched it, there might be moments where, like,
miss
oh,
certain
they gave
things.
me this clue
yeah.
early on already. So, I don't know. It's
Well,
an interesting
anyway,
moment.
we'll worry about it next time.
Even if we don't talk about it, I want to know what you feel about it. Even just very short, like, quick things, I want to know what you think about
Look, we might do it as like a precursor to our main thing next time.
Oh, okay.
Maybe if I manage to watch it before then. Okay. Anyway, so next time we will be doing the Korean Odyssey,
Yes.
and until then, I think that's about.
I forgot to look at the notes. I kind of skipped. I was looking at other stuff.
Okay. So you can find. I'll do closing then.
Okay.
So you can find us on our website at www.triggerpointfm.com/17.
Yep.
You can find us on Twitter at triggerpointfm. You can email us on triggerpointfm@gmail.com. You can search for us on YouTube under Triggerpoint Podcast. And finally, you can leave us a message on Facebook on...
Facebook.com/triggerpointfm.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think probably this one, it's because our username is the same on so many things. I wonder whether we should do one each so we're not tripping over the same word. Because I find that when I'm saying the thing on triggerpointfm.com, triggerpointfm, I don't know. Oh, and one last thing that I forgot to add here. I was about to use the whole YouTube like and subscribe, and that's not what I'm going to leave a review on iTunes, because for vanity reasons it would be nice if our iTunes listing had a few reviews and a few stars. It helps us get noticed. Oh, actually, I thought to put a note. Sorry, I just shocked Peter. Someone on Facebook linked to our podcast.
Oh.
They have a website called Podcasts Australia or something. I really should look it up and put a link in. They have a website that lists all the Australian podcasts and stuff and put a summary and stuff like that, and we're listed.
Oh, there you
Now,
go.
whether they actually know what our podcast is about or whether they just downloaded all the information from iTunes and put it onto a website somewhere, I'm not too sure. But hey, we're listed in more than just iTunes. So, yay.
Thanks for us. Anyway, that is it for us today. And until then, see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.